Well, it is a beautiful fall day here in Toronto, and I am in the 2020 Toyota GR Supra. And I'm going to explain why I wish there was a little bit more Toyota in this Toyota. But let's actually start with a launch, because one of the things I like about this car is that launch mode is easily accessible. So with the car in drive, all you have to do is put it in sport mode with one click of the button, with the other, and then click traction control off. Just click it and it should say sport traction off on the center dial, and then press the brakes really hard, press the gas really hard, and when you release the brake, away you go. And there you have it. Now let's talk about what we are driving. This is of course the collaboration with BMW Toyota Supra. They make two versions of this car. The first is the 4-cylinder version. It's a 2-liter turbo. It makes 255 horsepower, and that comes in at $56,000 and change. We are in the one you want, which is the 6-cylinder version. It's a 3-liter single turbo. It makes 382 horsepower, but those are German horsepower, so they're a bit bigger than the other ones. And it rings in at $67,690. Now with that bigger engine, you also get a 2-mode active exhaust, you get a 12-speaker JBL surround sound system, and a few other things, but interestingly, aside from the 1-inch larger wheels at 19 inches, there's nothing externally to visually distinguish that you spend all that extra money on the 6-cylinder version. I find that really odd. There's no 3-liter badging or anything to distinguish it externally from the 4-cylinder car. Now the 6-cylinder makes this car properly fast. This is an actually fast car. It goes 0 to 60 in about 3.9 seconds, quarter mile in about 12.9 seconds, and you can go 0 to 160 kilometers an hour in 9.0 seconds, 9 seconds flat. It's a fast car. And what is it like to drive? It drives really good. I love the steering feel in this car. It's really rare that we get a car that has nice steering feel, but it's really nicely weighted. It kind of communicates what's coming through it. For the standards of modern cars, this is really, really good steering. I commend them because this steering column actually came from a BMW X3, so who knew? The other thing I love about driving this car is the transmission. No, there's no manual available, but this is a really, really good automatic. It's an 8-speed, it's a ZF unit. Now, Toyota does offer several different interior colors. You can get a red one, and you can also get a black interior with some generous blue accents throughout. I have none of those interesting ones. I have a pure black cave. There is nothing to break up the black in here. It is just everywhere. I need like a brighter headliner or some chrome details or something to break up this pit of blackness. It is just a complete cave, and this would be the last interior option I would pick. The other thing about this interior is that it's really small. I am all of 5'9", and for the first time ever, my seat is on the ground to fit in this car. I have this much headroom, that much. I'm 5'9" and my seat's on the ground. I never have to do that. I also clocked my head on this thing getting out, because I don't know if you can see, but the roof goes down so far from where your head is that getting into and out of it requires a serious duck. That's all due to the radical styling this thing has. It kind of looks like an origami Dodge Viper. Inside, I'm not limited for width. It's a very wide cabin. I feel like I can kind of stretch, I can splay my knees out in here. It's not bad. And the most positive thing I'm willing to say about the interior is that the seats are pretty much perfect. They're supportive. I fit in them great. I like the way they look. These are really, really good seats. And they do that really hard to do double feature, which is be comfortable for long drives and also be very supportive in turns. They've managed to do both. Now that styling has also given this car some absolutely hideous blind spots. I can shoulder check out that way, but if I am lane changing to the left, I can't see anything. So this car is blessed with some truly ferocious blind spots, some of the worst I think I've ever experienced in a 2-seat car. The stereo in this car is a 12-speaker JBL surround sound system, but it sounds like 2 of them are working. This has got to be kind of the weakest surround sound system I might have ever heard. It's not the greatest system at all. Honestly, the acoustics are really challenging in these small two-seaters, so I'll give them a pass on it. The Supra is one of very few cars that competes in the $70,000 sports car range. There are lots of affordable sports cars under that, and there are lots of really expensive ones on top of that, stuff like the Porsche 911 and Mercedes-AMG GT, that kind of stuff. But there's really not a lot of options in the middle. Firstly, let's talk about the Z4. Obviously, it shares almost everything mechanically with this car. In fact, the only mechanical difference between this and a BMW Z4 is that this car has slightly longer, lower control arms to give it more negative front camber. That is it. All those stories you've heard about them, oh, they developed this car by themselves, they didn't talk to BMW and they were designing it. I believe they built this body, and I have some complaints about that as well, but they didn't do anything to mechanically differentiate this car. Now the Z4 just generally feels like a more premium product, and it is. It costs a solid $10,000 more than the Supra. You obviously do get a top that goes down, that's nice, but I can't explain it. Even though it shares so many BMW parts in the interior is just nicer than the Z4. It feels nicer. The Z4 is also interesting in that it's more quiet, it's more refined. It's not as hard-edged as this car. And that is a blessing if you're trying to, road trip it or put some miles on it, make a GT out of it. But if you're looking for more of a track car or, something like that, this is probably the one you want. Is it $10,000 more car than the Supra? I could see it actually. It's a really nice product. I really like driving the Z4. But its biggest and stiffest competition of them all is the Chevrolet C8 Corvette. It's obviously a mid-engine project for 2020. It costs within $150 of the Supra in Canada. It is essentially the same money. For that money, you get 100 more horsepower. It goes 0 to 100 kilometers an hour 1 second faster than this car. You get more cargo space and you get more people space, and it's a mid-engine design. Where are you missing, honestly? So, what's the bottom line on the Supra? It's a really good sports car, and it accomplishes that magic feat of just being a car you want to drive. There are faster cars, there are probably cars that represent better value, and there are cars that more feel like Toyotas. But, no matter what badge is on, no matter who built it, it's just a good sports car. If you are one of the few people shopping in this price range, the Supra is definitely worth considering. And I really just want to see more Toyota in it. I want to feel like I'm driving a Toyota. I know Toyota has great engineers. I want to see them get to work a little bit. I know it's hard to justify small sports cars because the margins aren't very big. They never sell very many. But as a point of pride, Toyota, don't you want to build your own sports car? For Driving.ca, I'm Clayton Seams.